Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host Dr. Amber Q and it's been a crazy week. Anyone that knows me knows that I love doing laundry. It's one of my favourite things. It's those simple pleasures in life, and just the ability to wash your clothes and to wear clean clothes is such a privilege. I think it's such a privilege and I really enjoy it, and I know there are many people that don't have the opportunity to do that, and that breaks my heart. So to tell you my story, I was just I was planning to have a day of, well, it was Friday. So for Muslims, that's a holy day. So I was planning to have kind of, really spiritual day. It was going to be wonderful. And I went to throw a top into the washing machine. And as I opened the door, water just came gushing out, like literally gushing out. And I was like, oh my gosh. I think I was in shock and I tried to hold the water, which obviously in my hands, which wasn't going to happen. Anyway, so I slammed the door closed on the washing machine. Actually, I didn't slam it because I'm very careful with my things. So I shut the door of the washing machine and I think I was just in shock. So I went to grab, I think, some newspapers to kind of stem the flow of water. And I then immediately rang the family who gave me the number of a plumber. So I rang the plumber and he said he would come out when he can. And I was like, great, that's great. So I, went to kind of clean up the floor and things. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happened? What's going on? And I realized that my plans for the day were going to be altered. So to cut a long story short, I was very tense. I rang one of my friends and he's such a great guy. I knew him in university, or I know him from university. And he gave me some reassurance, because that's what you want, don't you? That's what you want. And I rang home to update my parents and the family, and I was trying to think what I did for the rest of the day, because obviously I was waiting for the plumber to come over and have a look. And anyway, the plumber came over, had a look, and I'm embarrassed to say that he diagnosed neglect of the washing machine. So in a roundabout way, what I'm trying to say is that I hadn't done my part. I normally just throw some crystal stuff or powdery stuff into the washing machine to clean the washing machine. That's all I do. And I have tried to scrub at the seal, but, quite half-heartedly in the past. So the plumber advised me that the area that drained out was blocked. So if anyone's got a washing machine that gets blocked, you need to clean that area. So that's what I did. He gave me some more instructions about my kitchen sink as well, which wasn't blocked, but he said that could have caused an issue. And so he gave me some instructions, a few things to do with the washing machine, like doing a bleach wash and buying a different kind of tablet. So apparently the thing that I was using, which I think is called soda crystals, something like that. Anyway, that is not as effective. So I was like, okay, I was all ears. I was like, gosh, okay, I need to do this. I spoke with another friend who kind of advised me and said, yes, you need to do a really, really hot wash on a regular basis as well. And I was like, okay. And he gave me some advice about plunging. I'm not so keen on plungers myself. But anyway, so then I hopped off to the shops and I bought everything that I needed. And in a way, it was quite a fun trip, because I went to the shops and I was like, oh, I'll get this, I'll get that. So I asked a couple of male friends in terms of the best washing machine cleaner, the best sort of drain unblocker and things, bought the plunger that my other friend had suggested as well. And I was still really tense though, because I was just kind of like, I've got wet clothes and I need to get those washed. So then essentially in the evening, I had some moral support from a friend that I know from university. And I did everything to the machine. I cleaned it, did the bleach wash, did the stuff with the sink as well. And then I did a test wash. And oh my gosh, it was fine. Everything was fine. So then the sopping wet clothes, there weren't many. The sopping wet clothes that were in the washing machine initially, I put those back in and then washed those. And I did another kind of cleaning cycle, I think, afterwards. And I've done a couple of washes since then, and everything is fine. So I've literally just texted the plumber to thank him. And he was so kind. He didn't even take a call out fee. And he was just spot on. He was spot on. And it really made me think, actually, because when I'd spoken to my other friend as well, who'd given me instructions and asked me to get a plunger, I don't know what I was doing with the plunger. I watched some YouTube videos. What did we do before YouTube and before the internet? I really don't know. And in any case, I sort of did everything the plumber had suggested, but I realised that I had not cared for my appliance in the way that I should have. I thought I was caring. I was throwing some crystals in, every couple of washes, thinking that would be fine. Little and often, I was thinking that would be fine. But I hadn't figured out what the needs were for my appliance, for my washing machine. And so I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't, and my machine was suffering. And it's really made me think about that in terms of just friendship and service. If we're in the service industry and we're treating patients or clients, if you're an entrepreneur or just in the service industry, like, how do we actually treat, people or things that are under our care? And when I say things, I mean inanimate objects. And certainly in Islam, everything has meaning. All your possessions should have meaning. And you shouldn't really get things unnecessarily, right? So I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I didn't take care of my washing machine. My sister was like, I'll get you a new one. And I was like, no, I need to take care of this, because if I get a new one in the future, then I'll end up with the same problems. And although my kitchen sink had not sort of backed up at all, I realised that there could have been sort of a almost a subclinical kind of issue, right? So it hadn't manifested as yet. And I feel that this is such a metaphor for real life, because I read something the other day about the rate of cancer really increasing in younger people, 20 to 30-year-olds. And I'm not surprised, quite frankly. I used to do a lot of dietary analysis with my dental patients. And there is so much ultra-processed food out there. So, I don't know. I need to create a worksheet on that, actually. So, I was thinking about that. But I was just thinking about the fact that we don't nurture ourselves. We don't nurture sort of friends. And we don't generally nurture just, people, I guess, in our lives. And that's because a lot of us are just stressed and living through this life. And and I don't know. And so I've just been thinking about that, and I found it quite moving, actually, and quite sobering as well. Probably more so because I bumped into a friend that I haven't seen for ages. And, I've got lots of friends that are psychotherapists, counsellors, because, of course, I've studied psychology as well. I've studied business, psychology, as well as health, as well as, obviously, dentistry. And my specialty in dentistry, of course, being special care. And essentially, when I bumped into this friend, she was telling me about, she was sharing some things. And it really made me think about this whole nurturing concept. And quite often, those who care for others, whatever service industry they're in, they, including entrepreneurs, of course, because, entrepreneurship is a service industry. And that's how I see it. And I feel that we just don't take care of ourselves. We really don't, as well as others around us. And also, others expect us quite often to have all the answers. So they see us as just caregivers or service givers. And again, they don't seem to see us through that lens of, oh, this person needs some care and TLC. And I just find that really interesting. And so, I've been thinking about this area for a long time, and I am about to launch some of my own material that I've been it's been tried and tested, let's say, with a lot of people in the health industry, essentially dentists and doctors and some other health professionals. And I'm bringing it out for the mainstream sort of service provider, whether you have a small business, whether you're an entrepreneur, mainly for entrepreneurs, because I think that's such a lonely journey. And, loneliness, that's another problem, isn't it, within society. So, yeah, so watch this space, because, of course, it's my mission to make a positive impact on the world. Now, funnily enough, speaking of nurturing, I have signed up, I think I've mentioned this before, with a personal trainer, and she's amazing. She's getting great results with other people. I've not worked with her previously, and in as a trainee, I guess, or in terms of being a client of hers. And it's really, really interesting, because I almost feel, so I'm starting this week, and because she was in demand, so it took a few weeks to get a slot. And I feel as if I feel sort of embarrassed. I was embarrassed that I wasn't looking after my washing machine. And I feel embarrassed now because I'm so out of shape, I feel, that I feel as if, to be respectful, that I should be at some baseline level of fitness, that I need to kind of present myself with a decent baseline before I start my personal training. And it reminds me of one of my friends who cleans before his cleaner comes around. And I always thought that was so funny, but now I'm kind of doing the same thing, thinking, oh, I should do something. But have I done anything? No, I have made attempts during this week. I think, last week or maybe the week before. So I have tried to start doing a bit of skipping. I've been doing walking, but to be honest, I always do that. But let's see how that goes. I will probably be aching. But, I've had personal training before. And of course, it would be great to be at a sort of a slightly elevated level before one progresses. But instead, I've probably gone back to square one. Although maybe that isn't the case, because I have been doing bits in between. So we'll find out. So that should be quite exciting. And the other thing that I thought that was really exciting is that it looks as if I've got some new listeners. So shout out. I know that I've got more listeners in the USA, which is very exciting. And I know I have listeners in the UK, hometown, and Egypt. But also, excitingly, did I mention Brazil? Because I'm getting more followers in Brazil, and also China, which is so wonderful. And then, of course, we've got people who are listening just all over the world. And it's so exciting. Romania, Canada, the Netherlands, Chile. I love Chile. I'm sure I've mentioned that my supervisor from my MBA was Chilean. He was absolutely adorable. The Ukraine, I'm just looking through the list actually, and Vietnam, France, Mexico, Korea, Hong Kong, Thailand, Spain, Australia, and Italy, and also, of course, beloved land of Palestine. And yeah, that's just amazing. I mean, it's so exciting, and I'm so grateful to everyone that listens in. Thank you so much. it means so much to me, because here I am in London, just chatting away. I've never actually really marketed the podcast. I've never done that, really. I think I've possibly on 2 or 3 occasions when I've had a special guest. I think I've had 4 or 5 special guests, and I have obviously, sort of out of respect for the guest, sort of put up social media posts for those sessions. But apart from that, I've never marketed the podcast. So it's lovely that people are listening, finding me somehow. I do need to sort of kind of make a move soon in terms of videos and things. So the podcast is available on YouTube now, but I think it's just, I don't know, on some random, it's under Inside Out Smile Podcast, but there's no, it's just audio, so there's no video to it at the moment. So it's going to just be interesting to see how, once I get myself sorted out, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when I market the podcast, because I just want, as I've said, we all need nurturing, and we need to nurture each other. Really, I think that's the crux of the matter. And one of my favourite shows was Charmed. The original cast was amazing. And I kind of grew up with Shannon Doherty. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous episode. And sadly, she has passed away. And it's really heartbreaking to see her best friend, Holly Marie Combs, I think her name is, just being heartbroken. It's so sad. And I really feel for her, because when we lose our best friend, I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? I mean, I've had friends that I've had for years, 31 years, I think Holly's been friends with Shannon. That is just incredible. I hope that, God gives her strength during this difficult time. But there is so much trauma all over the world. Please don't stop speaking about Palestine either. And donate whatever you can. Let's just keep up with everything that we're doing, because it is making a difference. When I mentioned listeners in Palestine, there was, you would have heard a thud, and that was me just like hitting my heart, because Palestine is within all of our hearts, and it's just, I feel embarrassed to say it's unbearable, because I'm only witnessing it, not even witnessing it firsthand, let alone experiencing it. So may God help them. God is the best planner, and inshallah, Palestine will be free. They are already victorious, although perhaps some of the world does not realise that. So until the next episode, let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives.